right? So what's going to happen is that most of the time our attention is anchored in our body or our mind. So we don't really think about attention as a separate thing because it's always caught up with the body and the mind. So if you observe your thoughts, your attention is outside of your mind, right? Because you're looking at your mind. Most of the time when we're caught up with our thoughts, our attention is caught up with our mind. So this is where what I'm going to do today is teach y'all essentially the first step to out-of-body experiences, okay? So these are practices which have been taught in the meditative tradition for thousands of years and have been consistently used to help people cultivate something like an out-of-body experience. So a couple of like very important disclaimers. If if you're concerned at all, you should definitely talk to your medical professional about this kind of stuff. If you have histories of trauma, depersonalization, derealization, I do not recommend this, okay? So y'all got to be kind of careful about that sort of stuff. So the simplest way to describe it is, I know it sounds kind of weird, but let's just start here. So I'm going to walk y'all through this a little bit, okay? So where do thoughts exist? First question. Okay? I know it's kind of a weird question. Where are thoughts? No. I don't want a scientific answer. So forget about science for a second. Where do you experience thoughts? Like in space. So when you say mind, is mind localized in space? So is your mind in your... Now, hold on a second, because some people are saying head, and some people are saying no. So this is something that I did not understand until I had an out-of-body experience. That your thoughts are absolutely localized in space. Okay? So let me put it this way. When I'm thinking, look at your hand. This is a weird meditation. Look at your hand. Are the thoughts over here? Do you have thoughts over here? Right? Do your thoughts exist in the next room? Right? Most people are saying no. Like your thoughts go with you. Does that make sense? Like I experience thoughts here. It's kind of weird. So this is a weird thing is that sometimes when you're talking to people about this stuff, unless you've had an experience like this, like it doesn't make any fucking sense. So the first thing to understand is that we have always assumed that thoughts have no location because they are not physical things. Right? Because it's not a physical thing. It can't have a location. Because a property of a physical object is that it has a location. The property of a location is that it's a physical object. But when you think, your thoughts go with you. They don't like stay in your bedroom. They don't stay at the school or stay at the traffic light that it's red. It carries with you. So the next thing to think a little bit about is where within you do your thoughts exist? It's hard to describe, but I'd say they exist kind of here. In your head, right? Because like I don't feel thoughts in my hand. I don't feel thoughts like in my elbow. Like this doesn't think. It's kind of weird. But like they're kind of here. Which is sort of weird. And if y'all have lost me already, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay? And so some people are like in between the ears. Like, yeah, so that's kind of weird. Right? So like the first thing is that we've always assumed that your thoughts don't exist in space. But now we have an experience that our thoughts are localized in space. So if y'all want to understand what an out-of-body experience is, or what astral projection or all that crap is, it's that experience of thought outside of your body. So what's going to happen is your thoughts are going to your experience of thought is just going to be in the corner of the room, which is just weird. It's not drastic. It's not revolutionary because even the experience of thoughts in your head is nothing amazing. It's just like I'm thinking, right? It's so taken for granted. We carry them around with us all the time that we don't even realize they have a localization in space. Right? You don't even realize because it's always been in the same place. right? So even if you understand that your thoughts have localization in space, you're taking the first step forward. So now what we're going to do is we're going to teach you all the first step of the practice. Now this is going to be hard. So a couple of other disclaimers. So if you have any kind of discomfort or anything feels weird or things like that, like stop the practice. There are cases of meditation-induced psychosis. So if you have psychotic disorders, if you're using drugs, things like that, I do not recommend doing this kind of stuff. It's basically safe to do. I've never seen a meditation-induced psychosis from this practice before. But if anything weird is happening, please go consult a doctor, okay? So what we're going to do for this practice, I recommend laying down. So you want to wear like light, generally speaking, comfortable clothing. And what we want to do is essentially enter a state of deep relaxation. And then it's so hard to describe, but what we're going to do is you're going to find that as your body like relaxes further and further and further, there's going to be a buoyancy that you feel. And the buoyancy is basically going to be like, you may notice that the buoyancy feels like it's coming right above your body, but it's going to be anchored. And the best example I can use is if you guys have seen Harry Potter movies, you know how when a Dementor is like attacking someone, like you see their soul like coming out of their body? It sort of feels like that. What I imagine that feels like, except it's not unpleasant at all, right? So it's like there's a part of you that's going to be like pulling outside of your body, okay? But it's not bad. That's the problem. It's like you can use analogies, but like that seems terrifying. But you're just going to be like, it's weird. You're just going to be buoyant, okay? Now, is this stuff real? Like, who knows? Like, it may just be some, let's remember that scientifically meditation creates weird experiences. So all we got to do is just like, it's not a real thing. You're not actually leaving your body. You're just some weird trick of the brain, okay? So, starts very simply. So if you guys want to participate, you can join in. We'll do this for about 10 minutes, okay? So what I want you to do is lay down on the floor, okay? Think a little bit about the temperature. So sometimes when you engage in this practice, you'll feel a little bit chilly. And generally speaking, the fewer sensations that your body experiences, the better your chances are of entering the meditative state. Okay? So what that means is that you don't want to be particularly hungry, you don't want to pee, you don't want to be cold, you don't want to be hot, you don't want to be thirsty. So try to take care of that stuff. We'll give you guys like 60 seconds to pee if you need to, get water if you need to, grab a light sheet if you want to. Okay? No, we're not going to use DMT. DMT free, okay? So I would not recommend doing this in your bed because that'll probably engage you in sleep. But basically what we're going to try to do is create a neutral experience in our body, as neutral as possible. And as our body stops sending us signals, we will start to like feel our consciousness more robustly, for lack of a better term. Okay? You can do it in a comfy chair. Back should be straight, though. Yeah, it's interesting. I've never tried this kind of stuff in a sensory deprivation tank. Rock and Roll's asking, I had depersonalization a few years ago. Can I try this, Dr. K? I'm no longer depersonalization. I would talk to whichever medical professional managed your depersonalization and ask them if it's okay to try. Okay? Pillows, okay, yeah. Dark room is good. Meditation is a whole different ballgame. Completely different. Levitation. So, lay down, and what I want you to do is close your eyes and just take a moment to notice your body on the floor. Just notice all the sensations. Notice all the signals that it's sending you. And all of the... And notice that each of the signals that your body sends you kind of anchor you to your body. Right? You notice them in the present. They exist in the present. They pull you towards the present. They pull your attention towards that particular thing. So if you feel hungry, your attention is on the hunger. If you feel thirsty, your attention is on the thirst. If you feel tightness, your attention is on the tightness. And now what we want to do is take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly relax. Notice the way that you hold tension in your arms, maybe shoulders, maybe neck. Maybe your feet are straight up. Let them fall to either side. Palms face up. Breathe in and out and relax into the ground. Now what I want you to do is go into the breath. And with each breath you take, go fully into the breath and exhale. And now I want you to focus on your toes. And notice any kind of tension that may be in the toes. You can wiggle them a little bit if you need to. Work out a little bit of that extra energy. And then try to fully relax your toes. And now move on to your feet. Feel that tension in your ankles. Pressure on the heels. And then relax those. And now move up to your calves and your shins. As you breathe in and out, let them fully relax. And now move on to your knees. Notice the tension in your knees. And as you exhale the next time, let that relax as well. And now move on to your thighs. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly relax. And now notice the tension in your fingers. Let your fingers relax with your next exhalation. And then feel that energy in your wrists, the tension that gets stored up there. Deep breath in and out. And then forearms. As you exhale, relax your arms. Let your hand and arm hang limp, supported fully by the floor. And then up to your biceps and elbows. As you breathe in and out, let those relax. And then move on to your shoulders. Let your shoulders relax. And then with a deep breath in and out, let your arms and legs fully relax. And now your abdomen and back, your lower back, feel the tension there. Feel the way that you sit in your chair all day, causing it to curve, causing it to tighten, holding all that negative energy. And as you breathe in and out, let that relax. And now moving on to your chest. Feel the gentle rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. As you exhale, let your chest sink down. With your next breath, let your neck relax. Feel the tension, especially where your neck touches the base of your skull. Now relax your head. Let your head sink back. Don't suspend it any longer with your neck. Let it go. Your neck is always holding your head up, holding it, holding it, holding it. Let it go. And now move to the tension in your face. See how you always hold the tension there. The eyes always needing to be open. The mask that you wear. Let everything fall away. And now what we're going to do is take 8 breaths. With each breath, what we're going to do is try to double our relaxation. So notice the tension in your body, and you're going to let half of it go with your next breath. Deep breath in and out. Let half the tension go. In and out, and let half the tension go. You may notice there are a couple of holdouts in your body, stubborn areas where you can feel the tension remaining. You can focus on those and let it go. Another breath. And now continue at your own pace for 4 to 5 more breaths. sinking further and further into relaxation. And now that you're in a state of relaxation, if you have a breath or two, go ahead and finish it. Notice how heavy your body feels. And let your body sink. And you may start to feel a buoyancy. Start to feel as if your body has almost like there's a part of you that's straining against the surface of your body. Don't push it. Let it float. Now you can continue for as long as you want to. It's tricky, but you don't want to push yourself out. And just, it's hard, but hold that space of floating. And the longer that you're able to hold it, the greater the capacity to float. So just stay in that zone. It's hard. Either my words or your body or a sense of nervous energy, all of these things will disrupt that space. And now we're going to go ahead and come back. It may feel relieving to be coming back, that there's a certain nervous tension, almost as if the relaxation is too difficult. So you can go ahead and come back. You don't need to relax anymore. When you're ready, go ahead and sit up with your eyes closed. Let your back be straight. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Go ahead and put your hands together, rub them together like namaste position. Rub, 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 rub. Cup them over your eyes. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, open your eyes. Let your body come back. Okay, so couple of tips. First thing, if you really want to do this practice properly, you need to do it for an hour. Okay? Very little will happen in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Requires practice. So even if you failed, that's okay. This practice was not designed to succeed. this is a practice that has all kinds of other benefits, right? So for those of you saying, I felt sleepy, okay, well, now you have something for insomnia. I feel really tired, or I felt tired, I feel refreshed. It's a nice way to take a break. All that crap is true too. Those are all the scientific benefits of a meditative practice, which we can reliably say we can help you with. Not the point of these not the point of this practice. If it helps you for that, go for it. So if you can hold that state, so sometimes in psychedelics this is referred to as the liminal space. If you can hold that state, and y'all may know what I'm talking about, where to me it feels almost like surfing on top of a wave, where I know that the wave is going to crash eventually. There's no way to hold it forever. But you just try to hold it as long as you can. And the really tricky thing is that if you hold it, it'll crash. But in order to hold it for a long time, you have to ride it. So you just ride and ride and ride and ride. And if you can ride for about an hour, then you'll see what'll happen. So sometimes people have different kinds of experiences. Sometimes you get frightened. Sometimes you have body numbness. Sometimes any kinds of those things will bring your body shockingly back, which is totally fine. Don't force it, right? So go slow, practice for a while. If you can work your way up to being still for an hour, then your chances are going to go up. My body was numb, that means that you're probably doing it right. Right? So what's going to happen is that most of the time our attention is anchored in our body or our mind. So we don't really think about attention as a separate thing because it's always caught up with the body and the mind. So if you observe your thoughts, your attention is outside of your mind, right? Because you're looking at your mind. Most of the time when we're caught up with our thoughts, our attention is caught up with our mind. Same is true of our body. We're like, I feel tightness here. I feel something I feel hungry. So then my attention is caught up in the hunger. So when the body goes numb, if you can tolerate that numbness for a while, which is hard to tolerate, right? If you really think about it. Yeah, so it's easy corner saying numbness is not pleasant. It isn't. So it's a weird sensation. You just have to tolerate it for a while. Don't force yourself. So if it feels really uncomfortable, stop. Graduate yourself to tolerating numbness. And then what'll happen is hopefully your thoughts will stop too, and then what you'll be able to do is float. Right? Now, it's very possible that scientifically there's no such thing as astral travel or anything like that. And simply numbness, right? Like the presence of numbness may create some of these kinds of experiences. Like that makes sense to me from like a neuroscientific perspective. That just extinguishing all of the sensory inputs of the body then makes your presence feel separate from the body. And then you've created an out-of-body experience. Do you think that this could be the cause of the placebo effect, since there are a lot of instructions that are directed throughout the meditation could be self-fulfilling prophecy? Sure, but let's remember that the placebo effect is not false. The placebo effect is real physiologically, right? So even if I take a placebo, antipyretic medication, my temperature can actually go down. So in my experience, actually the opposite is true, that the more that you prime someone, the harder it is. So in my experience of meditation, especially spiritual experiences in meditation, expectation has the opposite result. Rather than tricking someone, so that's the other thing, is that it can make someone think that they had the experience, but it doesn't actually cultivate the experience. So if you had to ask me, I think that placebo actually has a negative experience, because placebo is expectation in the mind. And expectation in the mind is not going to facilitate experience. In fact, it's going to do the opposite. So what if people are highly suggestible? Suggestible is of the mind, right? Their thoughts are able to be influenced. This is not of the mind. Why did you start laughing when you had the floaty sensation? I don't know why you started laughing, but the laughing is going to take away the floaty sensation, right? So what you've got to learn how to do is ride it. Do the old meditation people ever talk about lucid dreaming? No. So lucid dreaming, I think, is like a bastardization of the things that the old people talked about. Lucid dreaming is actually the very opposite of meditation. So lucid dreaming is the attempt to use your imagination or thought to create experience, where I think, anyway, that's my understanding of lucid dreaming. I could be wrong there, but I think it's actually moving in the opposite direction. It shares some states with some of the consciousness stuff that you get, but there's a certain falseness to lucid dreaming that I think is different from Brahman. So I think there's shared consciousness states between lucid dreaming and meditation. It's hard to describe this stuff, but I think meditation goes beyond lucid dreaming. Yeah, so we tried this, right? So this is definitely on the less scientific side of what we do. But if we want to be honest to some of the traditions that have given us so much benefit, right, I think it's important not to forget these things. And at the end of the day, we can talk about it, you can read about it, but there's going to be no substitute for experience. That's what you should do it yourself, then decide. So I think this is the big shortcoming that I see nowadays, is that everyone's making decisions without having done anything, right? So you'll have a neuroscientist who says that this is false, it's all an illusion of the brain. Which could be true from a scientific perspective, but they've never experienced it, right? So once you experience something like this, that's what was really shocking for me, is that being a skeptic, relying on science, it's hard when there's no scientific explanation for something, but something has happened to you. Then what do you do with that? Right? It's challenging. So for people who are saying it doesn't compare to DMT, I have no idea. But a reminder that this practice takes time and effort. So I would say that, like I said, you need to be able to maintain that state for the better part of an hour before you really should expect anything. That's the minimum. So I would be highly skeptical of anyone who had any kind of experience with this practice today. It's just the introduction. You just need to do this for an hour. Then you do that for a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months, and then something may happen. So I would suggest that I would guess maybe about 90 hours of this practice is the minimum that is required for any kind of, to even have a 5% chance of some kind of spiritual experience. So do you think, this is a good question, do you think if I'm convinced that this isn't real or going to work out, but I still go through the steps, it can hinder effects or benefits? And if so, how do I overcome that? What you think is actually completely irrelevant. Okay? So this is important to understand. This practice does not work unless you can transcend mind. So expectations and what you think is going to happen is all within the mind. So you're going to have to shut off your mind anyway. The only problem that you're going to run into with the mind is that the mind won't let you do the practice. So your mind will say things like, this is a waste of time, don't bother. And then you'll stop doing it. But what you think is actually completely irrelevant. It's not going to matter. Because the whole practice will move you beyond mind to begin with. That's what I love about meditation. You don't have to believe in it. Right? You just do it. That's the cool thing about experiences. Whether you believe the water is hot or it's cold, when you jump in, you're going to know. You can believe whatever the hell you want to. It doesn't make a difference. Once you're in the water, you know exactly what the water is. What you think and expect is irrelevant. Right? That's what's so cool about meditation. That's why I teach it. Because if you do the practice, that's why we don't go into there's a ton of theory. on meditation. Like there's, books and books and books and books. You guys can't see my bookshelf from here, but I probably have 100 books about meditation that talk about all these weird kind of theories. We steer clear of that stuff because generally speaking, it's not scientifically supported. So we try to steer clear of a lot of that weird, complicated theory, but that's why I just do it. Experience is going to be the ultimate thing. Oh, do you like tacos? Do you not like tacos? Try one. You'll know. It's that simple.